And we are back. Welcome back to the Premier League prediction series. It is time for Game Week 13 in the Premier League. Will it be lucky or unlucky for your team this weekend? Before we get into it, as always, a massive thank you for all of you guys that have been subscribing over the course of this week. We have blown through 6,000 subscribers over the course of this week. We're almost up to 6,500 already, which is absolutely mental. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. We've got another Premier League game week coming up for you on, I think it's just midweek. So I'll have the prediction video for that up on Monday morning. And of course, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well if you do enjoy all of my prediction series. Now let's see what all of the games across the Premier League and Europe have done for our season scores so far. You will see that unfortunately we're bang on 50% with the Premier League after another poor week of predictions last time out. 4 out of 10 we got with no correct scores. We were slightly better in Europe though. We were pretty positive. It was around 65 to 70% correct results in Europe this week with only one correct score, sadly, across all three competitions, which means now on 348 out of 606 and 36 correct scores for the season. Crazy how many predictions we've already done. But we have got 10 predictions more for you today. And the first of those is taking place tonight. So fantasy football fans, get your fantasy football teams done because the first game, Brighton Southampton, is kicking off tonight. So let's start off with that one. Premier League predictions, Game Week 13 start now. And it is the game between 5th place Brighton and bottom of the league, Southampton. Now for Brighton, it is back-to-back very impressive wins for them, and it's all thanks to the returning João Pedro, a goal and an assist in both matches against City and Bournemouth respectively, resulting in Brighton getting the victory in both games. For Southampton, they actually come into this after what I thought was a relatively good performance against Liverpool last week, a 3-2 defeat, because they self-imploded. All 3 goals are Southampton's fault. Giving the ball away twice and a deliberate handball in the penalty area. You can't merit that. It's just poor defending and it's just poor play from Southampton. The only thing I would say is that I think we can all agree Liverpool are having a bit of an off day against Southampton and they still got the win. So that kind of reflects more on Southampton than it does on Liverpool. For Brighton, they are going to be without the suspended Baleba after he received 2 yellow cards in rather stupid fashion, it has to be said. For Southampton, there is still no Aaron Ramsdale, so McCarthy is set to continue in goal with Bazunu also still out and unavailable. The only thing I would say going into this is that Brighton have conceded in all of their last 5 matches, so there is still a chance for Southampton, but I think with the form that Brighton are in, they're going to come away with the victory. I'm going for a 3-1 victory to the Seagulls. From birds to the bees, we have Brentford taking on Leicester, the side with the best home record in the Premier League so far this season, taking on a Leicester side who are both 16th in the away league and 16th in the actual league for the Premier League so far this season. For Brentford, Norgard is suspended following that unfortunate challenge on Jordan Pickford, whereas Leicester have now added Harry Winks to their growing injury list and also are going to be, I think, managerless for this game because they're set to appoint Ruud van Nistelrooy, but he's probably not going to be in charge for Saturday. More likely the midweek game or even next weekend's game for him. So they're going to have caretaker management in charge for this one. Could give them that little bit of a new manager sort of pomp as players sort of show the new manager this is what we're capable of. But Brentford at home this season have been fantastic. And all games at Brentford so far this season have been incredibly high scoring. I'm going for a 4-2 victory to Brentford. That then takes us to Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Palace are now winless in their last 3 and are currently 19th in the Premier League table. And they still have Wharton, Eza and Nketiah injured and still have Kamada suspended. So they're really not in a good spot at the moment at Crystal Palace. However, Newcastle were not in a good place on Monday night either, losing 2-0 at home to West Ham and could potentially be without Bruno Guimaraes for this match as well. We're going to have to wait for Eddie Howe's press conference to see the status of Bruno, but they do have a certain Sandro Tonali ready to step in to that position if Bruno is unavailable. Both matches were won by the home side when these sides met last season, but I just look at the way these two sides are playing at the moment and look, if Newcastle would have carried on their good run of form against West Ham, I'd definitely go for a Newcastle win here. But that performance against West Ham has just thrown a shadow of doubt in my mind over this one. So I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. Maybe I've made the wrong choice there. Let me know down in the comments. Next up, it is Nottingham Forest taking on Ipswich. And we have to ask the question, has the Nottingham Forest bubble finally burst? Back-to-back comfortable defeats to Newcastle and Arsenal for them, whereas Ipswich are unbeaten in their last 3. They've got victory away at Spurs, a draw at home to Manchester United, and have now got themselves out of the... Are they still in the relegation zone? I think they are still in the relegation zone, just still in the relegation zone, despite those good results. But, look, they're playing good football, and Forest have tailed off in the last couple of weeks. Not only that, Anthony Elanga is now injured for Forest as well, so someone's going to need to step up. Most likely Jota, I would imagine, but... we'll see. The big thing that is going in Forest's favour is that Chris Wood should be available to start this match. Obviously coming back from New Zealand, he wasn't ready and fit to start against Arsenal when Awoniyi played up front for them in that game. He should be back for this one. You'd expect him to be on the score sheet for this one as well. But I'm going to be cautious. Ipswich have played well, like I've said, the last few weeks. I'm only going to go for a 2-1 win to Forest. But I would be surprised to not see a Forest win here. From a side whose bubble may have burst to a side whose bubble may be blowing up. And that is Wolves, who are taking on Bournemouth. Wolves absolutely fantastic the last couple of weeks. Back-to-back wins for them, including an incredible 4-1 away win to Fulham last time out. And that has got them out of the relegation zone. That's where I knew that stat was coming up. They've gone out of the relegation zone at the expense of Ipswich. For Bournemouth, it's back-to-back defeats. And they now go into this game without their star man, Antoine Semenyo. He is suspended for this match. And with Sinisterra also injured, they're going to need someone to step up on that right-hand side of the pitch. And at the moment, it's unclear who that's going to be. But for Wolves, they are flying. They're playing some fantastic football. And I think this is just the absolute right time to be playing Bournemouth. So for me, it's going to be another Wolves victory here. I'm going for 2-0 to Wolves. And just think, literally 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were talking about Gary O'Neill being sacked. Right now, I think once again, that looks like we are far away from that being the case. 2-0, I'm going to Wolves. From a team whose bubble has burst, to a team whose bubble's been blowing up, to a team that's forever blowing bubbles, it is West Ham United. I apologise for the cringe over that one. They take on Arsenal, and look, West Ham, 2-0 victors away to Newcastle on Monday night, as we've already mentioned. They are taking on an Arsenal side who really look back to their best. An impressive 3-0 win over Forest last time out, and then a 5-1 victory away to unbeaten Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League in midweek. And you have to say, what a difference Martin Ødegaard makes. He is by far their most important player. And it's one of them ones where you only notice it when they're not playing. Arsenal have not been anywhere near their best this season. Yes, they've had injury concerns in other areas of the pitch, but they've still got injury concerns in other areas of the pitch right now. Ben White, obviously the big one that's going to be missing from their back line, but Ødegaard's come back into that midfield, and they have just gone up, arguably 2 levels over the course of the last couple of weeks. Not only that, for West Ham, you've got to remember, when these sides met here last season, Arsenal won 6-0 at the London Stadium. Yes, West Ham did win at the Emirates. That's not worth forgetting. But Arsenal won 6-0 here last year. They're back to their best. West Ham still have Kudus suspended after the fight against Spurs. So I've got to go for another Arsenal win here. I'm going to go for 4-1. I just think they're going to blow them away again. I really do. The way they're playing, the form Saka's in, how good Ødegaard looks at the moment, with the front line all starting to score goals again, I think Arsenal are going to take them quite comfortably here. I'm going for 4-1. That was the final game on Saturday. That then brings us to 3 early kickoffs on Sunday. And the first of those sees Chelsea on the back of a 5-game unbeaten run, now sitting in 3rd place in the Premier League table, taking on an Aston Villa side who are now winless in their last 7 games in all competitions. But is worth noting, defended very, very well once again in the Champions League against Juventus. They've only conceded 1 goal in the Champions League, and it was that dodgy penalty with the Tyrone Mings instance against Bruges. And when you consider they've got clean sheets against Bayern, against Juventus, they've seemed to perform well in big games so far this season. That said, their away form at the moment is absolutely shambolic. Only 1 goal in their last 3 away games and 7 goals conceded, whereas like we've just spoke about, Chelsea are on a really good unbeaten run. And they come into this with their players, coming back to full fitness. Pedro Neto's probably still going to be missing for this one. Reece James is probably going to be missing for this one. I just have this funny feeling Villa are going to get something here. And I don't know why. These two sides met 4 times last season. 2 games were draws. 2 teams were won by the away team. So there's not been a home win in this fixture in the last 4 meetings. I just have this little funny feeling Villa are going to turn up here and get a result. I just do. I don't trust Chelsea defensively. They were so dominant against Leicester last week, and they still conceded at the end of that game. I just don't think they're going to get a clean sheet. And I don't think, against a Villa side that knows how to defend in big games, I don't think they're going to score that many goals either. So I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. And that may surprise a lot of people. I just have this little funny feeling, like you do, as all football fans do. You just go, I've got that feeling they're going to turn up here. I just think Villa are going to get something here. If Chelsea win 3 or 4-0, fair play to them. That's probably a more likely result than a 1-1 draw. But I don't know. I'm going for a 1-1 in this one. Next up is Manchester United taking on Everton. Man United now unbeaten in their last 6 under Van Nistelrooy and now, of course, Ruben Amorim, including last night's 3-2 victory over Bodo Glimt. Watch my reaction to that, which we posted yesterday, because it wasn't the best performance, but we were looking very good in front of goal. They're taking on an Everton side that come off the back of 2 0-0 draws after a 1-0 defeat to Southampton. So no goals in any of Everton's last 3 matches. Back-to-back 0-0 draws. This time last year, Manchester United played Everton and Garnacho scored goal of the season. So hopefully we can see something like that again in this game. I just don't know if Manchester United are going to score the goals. Like I just said, we're creating a lot of chances. We created a lot of chances last night, but we're still not being clinical. And I look at the fact that Everton haven't conceded in their last 2, and I do have a slight doubt over whether or not we're going to get the goals we need to win this one, especially given how many chances we are giving up in this new system under Amorim. I'm just confident as a United fan that we're going to get the job done here, and I'm going to go for 2-0, but we'll see. Onana still has the most clean sheets in the Premier League so far this season, so hopefully that will be the difference maker. Manchester United to win 2-0. Final of the early kickoffs on Sunday sees Spurs taking on Fulham, and there is just nothing more Spursy than winning 4-0 at Man City, then playing your full first team against the most out-of-form Serie A team going in Roma, and drawing 2-2 at home. Well done, Spurs. Not only that, Romero's still injured, Van der Ven's still injured, Bentancur's still suspended, and Vicario is now out injured for multiple months as well. So, actually, when you think about it, Spurs are not in a very comfortable position here. The only thing they've got going for them is that Fulham are off the back of a 4-1 defeat to Wolves, and last year both sides won the home fixture in this tie. So I do think Spurs have still got to be massively considered the strong favourites for this, but again, you look at that performance last night, and you just think that if Fulham can get at them, if Fulham can get at that defence, maybe drop Adama Traore back in the starting lineup or something to really expose the lack of pace in that Spurs defence, I think Fulham could potentially get something. But I've got to side with the side that just beat Man City 4-0. I've got to think that back at home, they're going to get the result here. They are higher placed than Fulham in the table. They're 6th, Spurs are 6th, Fulham are 9th. I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Spurs. But again, watch this space. Fulham are definitely capable of getting something here. And then finally, it is the main event, the final game of the weekend. It's Liverpool and Manchester City. And I don't think anyone is going to predict anything other than a Liverpool win here, which is crazy to say. Like, when was the last time you actually did a Manchester City prediction where you didn't expect Man City to win? Like, even last season, you would still expect Man City to win at Anfield, but they've not won any of their last 6. They drew at home to Feyenoord after being 3-0 up, whereas Liverpool were breezing past Real Madrid. Like, surely Liverpool win this game. It is going to take something astronomical for Pep to pull something out of the bag here to get a result at Anfield. I really think that. The only thing that's going for them is that Konate could be injured, and I think that could be a big loss to them. It looked like he picked up some sort of leg injury at the end of that Real Madrid game. We'll have to wait and see what Arne Slot has to say about that injury. They've also lost Conor Bradley due to a hamstring injury, which is a shame for him because he put in a man-of-the-match performance, in my opinion, against Real Madrid. If only they had another right-back that could just come in and fill that spot like Trent Alexander-Arnold, say, I think he's going to be fine. For Man City, like, no Rodri, no Kovacic, they just look so exposed. Their defence is so exposed. And Ruben Diaz hasn't played the last couple of games either, but I don't really know why. He's surely the defensive leader. He has to play in this game, Ruben Diaz, if City have any chance of getting anything. But I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think Liverpool take this. I'm going to go for 2-0. I nearly went for more, which is just the state of play with Manchester City at the moment. Obviously, as a Man United fan, the only thing worse than Manchester City winning the league is Liverpool winning the league. So as much as I'd love to see Manchester City not win any games in 7, the thought of Liverpool going 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League scares me to death. So I actually hope City get a result here. But I just don't see it. They look completely gone at the moment. Liverpool are arguably the best team in the world at the moment. They should be winning this game. I'm going for 2-0 to Liverpool. And that is going to be it for today's video. As always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out the community page where you can have your say on each individual match as well and vote for which side you think is going to take the victories. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll be back, like I said, for my post-match reaction to Manchester United and Everton on Sunday. And then we'll do predictions again, once again, on Monday morning. So I'll see you there.